Hello and welcome back to This Week in Science, the show that combines microscopes with macro laughs. I don't like it either. This week we've got robots delivering groceries, fake aliens, and unrejectable kidneys. This young girl Aditi received the first rejection-free kidney. So she has a special kind of kidney transplant, meaning she doesn't need to take long-term immunosuppressing medication. See, normally when you have an organ transplant, your body recognizes something as foreign and tries to reject it, much like an internal version of Brexit. And because of this, you need to take medication for the rest of your life, immunosuppressing medication to dampen down the immune system to make sure your body doesn't reject the new organ. Now they did this by giving Aditi bone marrow stem cells from her mother, who was the donor, which has prevented rejection. And now we know the secret for preventing rejection. Andrew Tate will shortly be setting a course on. This really is an amazing story though, and my favourite part of the whole thing were Aditi's comments, because they asked her what she thought about the whole thing afterward, and she said she felt great because I can go swimming. Imagine having this life-defining surgery that's completely changed the trajectory of your life and being like, yeah, it's good now, I can go swimming. A minke whale was found beached on the shore of Whitby. Yes, Whitby in North Yorkshire. You can see from this picture how it was mistaken for a giant slug. This is, of course, the most exciting thing that's happened in Whitby since the Abbey closed in 7 AD. A time when they certainly didn't have robots, which leads me on to my next part about robots. Co-op are now using robots to deliver groceries. Now this has already been rolled out in some parts of Manchester, such as Sale, and is soon going to be rolled out in Timperley and Urmston. This is unfortunately a big downgrade for cybernetic organisms.
I'll be back with your milk and eggs.
A counsellor in this article said he'd encountered one of these robots, done a nosedive from the curb, and it was on its front with its wheels in the air, completely unable to move. I love the way he's described this robot like a little turtle on its back. It's only a matter of time till Manx get hold of them though, and they're painted red or light blue or covered in little pictures of bees. Grocery robots, completely crazy, but not as crazy as aliens. Let's go to America. Lots of talk this week about UFOs and Mexico's alien bodies that they found there. I'm sorry, but who do they think they're fooling? I feel like if you Googled fake alien, this is the kind of picture you'd get. They could have made it look a little bit more realistic and not based off some cartoon alien picture. I loved this bit of the video though, where they did the CT scan for the alien, and because it's obviously an inanimate object now, they had to push it through the little machine. All of these long NHS waiting lists, waiting months and months for treatment and scans, and this little alien is getting in there before you. And presumably off the back of this, NASA has appointed a new, and let me get this right, Director of UFO Research. Surely that has to be the most chill job in the world. Day one. Still no aliens. I just see them sitting around all day drinking cups of tea with the director of Bigfoot Discovery, the CEO of Yeti Finding, and the Unicorn Whisperer. But no, this wasn't my favourite space story this week. It has to be this one. And let me read the title verbatim. Red Planet Breakthrough. NASA generate enough oxygen on Mars to keep a small dog alive for 10 hours. When did we start using keeping a small dog alive as a unit of measurement? It's not even how much air is there, it's how long could that air keep a small dog alive? Not even a normal dog, not a big dog, not a human, but a small dog, specifically a small dog. Imagine going scuba diving, you look down at your gauge and it says 4 small dogs. This is a very interesting story though, because could it be the start of something really big? If we're able to generate oxygen on Mars, oxygen can sustain life. Therefore, in theory, we could sustain human life on Mars. We could build Mars bases. Until you find out that to generate that 10 hours of small dog's worth of oxygen, aka 122 grams of oxygen, that much oxygen took 2 years to create. And that dog is long gone now, my friend. Now back in the capital, instead of an actual protest, business people in London decided to start a queue protest to protest against climate change. Because there's nothing the British love more than standing in an orderly line. Can you imagine if you'd seen this protest queue and you didn't know it was a queue for protest and you thought it was actually going somewhere or doing something, and you just joined the back of it? You're like, queue's taking a while, isn't it? I'm waiting here for hours, it better be good. I just find this such a funny way to protest. Like, how do you even know that difference between a queue and a protest. It gets very confusing, doesn't it? The next time you're in Starbucks asking the guy in front of you, excuse me, are you waiting for caffeine or are you protesting here today? Oh, just waiting for coffee, okay. And Christians really were in protest recently because someone on Reddit made ChatGPT produce a brand new Bible verse that talks about transgenderism and the acceptance of transgenderism by Jesus. The verse read, "Lord, I come to you estranged, for my spirit and body are not one. How shall I hope to enter the kingdom of God?" And Jesus replies, "Be not afraid, for in the kingdom of God there is no man nor woman, all are one in spirit." Now, if that was slipped into your copy of the Bible, you would 100% believe it was legit, right? If you'd never read the Bible before and you saw that passage, you'd be like, yep, that's something that definitely happened, or kind of happened, or however we classify it. It did cause some stir in the community though. Jewish author Michael Brown wrote, "The whole Bible, including the New Testament, makes gender distinctions, recognizing only two sexes. Jesus would not say to a woman who felt like she was a man, 'Be made whole and remove her breasts and give her a lifetime subscription to hormone pills,' but would make her at home in the body she was created with." Speaking of controversial American things, Fox News reported that aspartame, is that how you say it? Aspartame, the sweetener that's found in Diet Coke, could be linked to learning deficit. So the title suggests. This one's been around ages, right? The sweetener in Diet Coke, it's bad for you. A lot of people saying this. Until you scroll down to the article, until the very last paragraphs, when it actually says, not only should the results of this study not be extended to humans, but there's also no link between low-calorie sweeteners and cognitive impairments. This is like the media equivalent of the fake handshake. Like they put their hand out to you to shake the hand and then being like, nah, only kidding. A different drug that may be helpful though is MDMA, and there's talk of MDMA being used to treat PTSD. And in this study it talked about 104 participants, all of which got either a placebo or doses of MDMA alongside talking therapy. And just in general, the MDMA group did better in terms of their symptoms of PTSD. There were some side effects, but the symptoms of PTSD did get better compared to the placebo group. I can only hope that this trial was called Rave Away Your Trauma. This isn't the first thing we've heard about psychedelics in mental health. In Australia, certain doctors, certain psychiatrists can prescribe both MDMA and magic mushrooms to treat a number of things like severe depression. Now this is heavily criticised in the British Medical Journal, who call it premature and based on inadequate evidence. But Australians, they're just a lot more relaxed with things. I know, you got depression? A bit of mushrooms will sort you out, mate. That was the worst Australian accent, but we roll with it. And finally, this one is pretty grim, so brace yourselves. That's why I saved it to last. Baboon poo could be used as a treatment for diabetic foot ulcers. So yes, the image you have in your head is perfectly right. You've taken the poo from the baboon, probably not straight from the baboon, probably somewhere else, and then you've taken it, and it's gone onto the wound. And why is that helping? It's because there's certain viruses, bacteriophage viruses, that are found in these poos that can actually kill bacteria. So for treatment-resistant bacteria, so bacteria that's resistant to many antibiotics, this poo could actually be an answer for that. We all know the phrase, urinate on a jellyfish sting. Well, now we can add to that the phrase, defecate on a diabetic foot. Please don't do that. That is not medical advice. But that's This Week in Science. Subscribe if you're new. Any comments? Drop them below. And I'll see you in the next one.